thing we're going to work with is when I give you a set of coordinate points. So we have to review really quick. Once again, we're going to take our y minus our y, that's our change in y, and our x minus our x. So the first thing we have to understand is when we look at these, we have to be able to determine which is our x and which is our y. So if you remember in the alphabet, when you say the end of the alphabet, you say X, Y, Z. X, Y. It goes in the same order. This is my X, this is my Y. And I have color-coded them for you, but obviously on a worksheet or out of your book, they're not going to be color-coded. You're going to have to be able to understand which is which. So now we're going to do our change and our Y's. So here's our Y's. Now I'm going to circle them, so I'm only focusing on those. And yes, I threw integers in. So you have to make sure that you are remembering to put that minus sign in between. So I'm just going to go ahead. I'm a left to right person, so I'm going to work left to right when I possibly can. In this situation, it's not going to avoid me working with negatives anyway because both of them have a negative sign. So I'm just going to do left to right. So my Y's, I have a negative 12. And I need to remember I have to put this minus sign. That's the most common made mistake when there's negative numbers in our coordinates. And then minus 3 is my other one. Okay? If I do my next set, left to right, I had 6 minus, and then I had a 15. Okay, and I was getting those from right here. So now when I simplify, this is going to become plus 3. So now if I need to use my calculator, I can, but I'm hoping you don't need that. I have a negative and a positive. Those are different, so I'm going to find the difference. The difference would be 9. The larger number is negative. And then 6 minus 15, once again, a positive and a negative. I have to find the difference, which would be 9 again. And the larger number was negative. So I get an answer of negative 9 over negative 9. 2 negatives make it a positive, 9 over 9, or positive 1. Okay, and these just take lots of reps. I know the first few times that we practice through them, it's kind of confusing, but pretty soon you get more and more comfortable with them. And you'll use these a lot next year. So I'm kind of just giving you that practice right now to kind of give you an idea of what we're working with, and then you'll work with them even more next year. Okay, so change and Y's. So we're going to subtract between our Y's. So here's our Y's. Remember, they're the back set. So I'm going to just work left to right on this. 2 minus 5. Okay? Over. Here's my X's. So 12 minus negative 7. And this is the most common made mistake is kids, because there's a negative, and I'm guilty of it myself. Sometimes I get going too fast, but because there's a negative on that 7, they forget to put that minus or that change part in there. Okay, so now when I look at this, 2 negatives make that a positive 7. Okay, so when I do my subtraction, 2 minus 5 is negative 3 over 12 plus 7 is 19. So my slope is negative 3 over 19. Okay, so I want you guys to pause your video and practice setting this one up, and then we'll work through the final answer together. So go ahead and pause your video and work through setting up this equation with your Y's on top, the change included, and then your X's on the bottom. So you should have had 8 minus 16, or if you're somebody that reversed it, it should have been 16 minus 8. And I'll show you that if I had done these right to left, it would look like this. And it doesn't matter which order I do them, as long as I put my Y's on the top and I do my second set in the same order. So this time I would have to do my 9 and then my 20. You're going to see that when we do these, we still end up with the same answer. So when I go through and I do the original one that I had here, when I do 8 minus 16, it's negative 8 over 20 minus 9 is 11. So that's actually a slope of negative 8/11. when I look at this next one, the one where I wrote it backwards, 16 minus 8 is 8. 9 minus 20 is negative 11. It's still the same thing. We still have one negative on that fraction. So it doesn't matter that one of them's in front of the 8 and the other one's in front of the 11. It's still negative 8/11ths for our whole slope. Okay, you just have to make sure whatever order you choose for one of your sets, you have to do the same order on the next one. All right, let's try one more. Okay, so I want you guys to go ahead and set this one up. This time I did not color code. So you have to remember, just like in the alphabet, it's X, Y. So go ahead and pause your video and work your way through this one and get down to your final answer, and then check your steps with mine. So you should have ended up with -2 or -2/1. If you had 20 over -10, that's correct, but you just needed to get it reduced down. And remember, that negative applies to the whole set. All right, well, that's it. Good luck with this. And just remember, with those X's and Y's, make sure that you're doing your Y's on the top, the change in your Y, so you're subtracting between your Y's, and then your change in your X's on the bottom. And remember to keep them in the same order.